Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to read the information that we're going to be writing about. So it says the Holocaust was a systematic, state-sponsored persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime and its allies and collaborators. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this definition of the Holocaust just because they're giving me specific dates, they're giving me specific amount of people who passed away, they're giving me information that I can use as evidence inside of my essay. Okay, the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933. I'm going to need that as well. They believed that the Germans belonged to a race that was superior to all others. I'm going to underline Germany in 1933. They claimed that the Jews belonged to a race that was inferior and a threat to the so-called German racial community. And this is by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So I don't know if some of you remember, but I had a conversation with y'all about when they're giving you information to use for your essay, it is very smart of you to actually use the information that they're giving you. So you can incorporate some of this information here in your body paragraphs. You can incorporate it into your conclusion. You can incorporate it into your introductory paragraph. But oftentimes I notice y'all are wondering what could you add to the expository essay if you don't have a book or actual quotes to come from? Here you go. Here you go. This is where you're pulling information from. You're also pulling information from what you've already learned about the Holocaust, which we're now on like day 5. So we've learned so much about the Holocaust so far. If I would suggest going back to some of your worksheets that you've previously done to get more information to use for your essay if you are finding yourself stuck. Now, the next thing it says is think carefully about the timeline activity that you just completed. Consider the individuals, laws, decrees, and historical events. Write an essay explaining how and why the Holocaust happened. So let's pause here. Whenever we are writing an essay, we know that we need to turn the prompt into a question. So if I was turning this prompt into a question, it would look like this. I know that my entire essay needs to be able to answer this question. How and why did the Holocaust happen? Okay. It says to be sure to clearly state your control and idea. It says to organize and develop your explanation effectively. Choose your words carefully. Use correct spelling, capitalization, punctuation, grammar, and syntax. This is something that I notice a lot of students are falling behind in this area, and which is harming you when it comes to getting points for your essays. You want to make sure that you are correctly spelling words, that if you see a squiggly line underneath the word, that you are making sure that you are correctly spelling it. Also, we need to make sure that we're using correct punctuation. So that means if it's a question, there needs to be a question mark after it. If there's a statement, it needs to be a period after it. Now, it says use this pre-writing page to plan your composition. So we're now going to move on to the next portion. It says introduction. 3 to 5 sentences. This needs to include your thesis, how and why the Holocaust happened. To the right, I have the teacher notes. So my teacher is going to put her notes up, what I need to improve on the side before I write my final draft. So we're going to pause here and we're going to go to the Nearpod. All right, so I now need to make sure that I'm drafting an introduction. I start with a general statement. I then do a specific statement, and then I write my thesis statement. Again, we know that our thesis statement is the answer to a prompt. The thesis statement is the what? The answer to the prompt. Now, when we talk about a general statement, it means that it's not necessarily what your entire essay is going to be about, but it's something that's on topic. So for example, I wrote an introduction and I used the prompt, should history be taught at your school? So let's say that this was an expository essay and they're asking me, should we teach history at this school? And I said, history is crucial for students to understand the past and how it affects the future. That doesn't tell me if history should be taught at my school. That doesn't tell me what I'm going to write the essay about, but it does lead me to know that this person is in favor of history because it's saying it's crucial, meaning it's important. So I know that before I even read this person's thesis, that this person is in favor of history. But just to be sure, I have to keep reading. Then it goes, write a specific statement. Our school currently does not offer history classes for all grade levels. So that's specific to the actual school. The question says, should it be taught at the school? And I'm saying at this school, there is no history class for every student. That's more specific. Then I end it with my thesis statement, meaning I'm actually now going to answer the prompt. I didn't answer the prompt before, but now I'm going to answer it. We should include history in all grade levels at Sweet Jones High because it will teach us valuable lessons of the past and it will ensure that the school's culture improves. So that finally answers what the prompt is asking. Your introduction paragraph needs to build on each other. At the end, you finally tell us what your essay is going to be about. So I know before I even read the rest of this essay that they're going to have their first body paragraph talk about how history teaches valuable lessons of the past. And I know that their second body paragraph is going to be about the school's culture improving. So that answers the prompt and it gives me 2 reasons why history should be taught at the school. So now let's move back to your essay. So now for your essay, you need to start with a general statement about the Holocaust. If you are finding yourself lost about writing a general statement, you can always scroll back up. There's plenty of general statements here that you can use. Make sure that when you're taking some information from someone else, that you quote it. So you can say, according to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, put in quotations, and take from up here about the Holocaust. It's a general statement about the Holocaust. Then you need to write a specific statement about the Holocaust, specific to what your question is, how and why the Holocaust happened. You're not necessarily giving me your thesis, but specific to the Holocaust. Then you're going to give me your thesis statement, which tells me how and why the Holocaust happened. So I know that my first body paragraph is going to be how the Holocaust happened. I know that my second body paragraph is going to be why the Holocaust happened. At this time, I want you to pause here and I want you to write your introduction paragraph. This should take you no more than 10 minutes. Now that you have written your introduction paragraph, it's time for you to start with your first paragraph. You're going to be telling me how the Holocaust happened. Right here, I gave you the CFS. You need to have 4 to 6 sentences. So this entire box needs to be 4 to 6 sentences, no less than. Then my second body paragraph is going to be why the Holocaust happened. So pause the screen here, and you are going to write your first body paragraph. And then you should be receiving feedback by now. If not, move on to the second body paragraph and raise your hand so that Ms. Nelson can give you feedback on your essay so far. Once you have paused the screen and you have written from your introduction paragraph all the way to your to your second paragraph, you should now be into your conclusion. It needs to be 3 to 5 sentences. You need to restate your thesis, meaning telling me how and why the Holocaust happened. And then you're summarizing your reasons. And then you're going to give me a call to action statement. If this happens, then this happens. Or if this doesn't happen, then this would happen. Or when this happens, these things happen, so we shouldn't do X, Y, or Z. So a call to action, meaning you want people to, when they're done reading your essay, to believe what you're saying, and you want them to understand the importance and severity of what the Holocaust was. So you are going to be drafting your essay today. I should be seeing papers